Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
I'm George.
And I'm Megz.
And this is part 2 of our discussion of Halloween 1978. We're doing this as a makeup to Megz because we put her through Halloween 5 as her first Halloween, and we are probably going to have to go before the Hague even if we do this. But just to be safe, we're going to try to continue the conversation where we left off yesterday with Megz and the guys.
Well, it's like we discovered with the classroom scene. Like, you're so focused on her looking out the window and seeing him.
Wait.
Don't go there yet.
Well, that's the next
Megz.
scene, so
Okay.
we're there.
Classroom scene.
Oh, hold on. Are we done with this scene?
I think so.
Okay.
Classroom scene.
Okay.
Laurie's kind of daydreaming, looks out the window. What does she see?
It's Michael standing behind the car he stole, and he's just
Nice.
making unbreaking eye contact, which
Okay.
was terrifying, by the way.
Okay.
Which just
So the
terrified
So
me.
it worked.
Did.
Winner
so
chicken dinner.
The first shot
Uh-huh.
of looking out the window is a little bit further away,
Uh-huh.
and the second shot of looking out the window is much closer.
Yes.
When I watched this movie the first time, the further away shot that happens first,
Yeah.
I only saw a car.
Seriously?
I didn't even see.
You can see your feet.
Whoa,
Right?
I can see your
And
feet.
and the second shot that was closer, I definitely saw Michael.
Oh, wow.
And
I don't know if you did,
and
because I remember us mentioning
know,
in the episode,
maybe-
we were like, he's standing right there, and you're like, he is? And we're like, no, he's right there.
Okay, yes.
didn't
So
see
I
it.
didn't see him at all.
Love it.
I didn't see him at all. And that is kind of the beauty of this movie,
Right.
which a lot of other Halloween movies don't get that right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same thing with the sheets that we'll talk about later.
Yes. But I just wanted to give you that my first experience on that
Right.
scene.
That is
So when you're watching that
interesting.
When you're watching that scene and you're watching it for the first time, you're
Uh-huh.
visually seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
You watch it about 12 times, you catch what's being talked about in class.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I
And the
didn't hear
teacher-
that.
Yeah, the reading and the teachers talking about fate and different philosophies about fate and is it elemental? Like all these different. When you're hearing that, you're thinking, this scene is so much deeper.
Yes.
Just like with that song that Dan heard.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like I've heard that song thousands of times watching this movie, and only when I got older and more recent, I'm like, oh my God, like he's basically thinking that song as she's singing it.
Yeah. And on first watch, I just saw the car and I thought I thought the movie was trying to tell me
He's there.
Michael's
somewhere.
close.
He's there.
He's close by. Yeah.
Michael's close, but he's right by there.
He is
you
close.
can't see his
He's
feet.
very close.
And you can't see his feet.
I love that because you're like, ooh, they're trying to be mysterious. Where is he? And then the person next to you is like, dude, his head is sticking out above the
Yeah.
car, man. Like, just look.
Yep.
Yep.
But it's
And-
broad daylight.
It's broad daylight.
And the
Wow.
class discussion is, about different authors' interpretations and symbolism with regards to fate. And
Mhm.
Lori
Okay.
kind of isn't paying attention, but then, the teacher says, Lori, answer. And she answers the question well,
She nails it.
even though she wasn't really paying attention. So you're like, wow, this girl really knows her fate stuff, right?
Mhm.
And it turns out, the teacher, yes, that author clearly personified fate. And then
Mhm.
Michael's outside.
Okay.
And then Michael's not outside.
And then he's not.
And then he's
gone.
Because
not.
he's like a.
He's there until he's not.
So good.
Meg, did you ever wonder at the beginning of this movie whether or not Michael was actually there, or if he was just imagined because of how quickly he's in and out?
no, I never once thought
He's just
he's not
very
there.
stealthy.
Because I thought that, but now after watching a bunch of Halloween movies, I take it
Uh-huh.
at face value. He's there.
Well,
and
Michael
then he's not
Myers
there.
isn't like George McFly, where he's like on a tree branch with binoculars. Like
Yeah.
he's got some skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's able to kind of blend. A little
He's
bit.
a lot more
just-
Marty McFly than he is.
Yes.
There you go. I feel like he just melts in and out of spaces really well. Like the scene where he's at the bush
Mm.
and she's like, oh my God, there he is again. And then she goes to grab her friend, and then her friend goes and looks around the bush and he's not there. I could be totally imagining this, but I felt like, I don't know if it was this one or another one, like he was somewhere and then he just disappeared. I thought I could see him sort of like slipping away as they cut. Like you can see him kind of like moving towards
You
the
see
back.
him walk behind the bush, yeah.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
like a sidestep back behind the
But
shrub.
it's very blatant.
But it's
No, I
and then
think
you see John Carpenter's
it's
cigarette
very
smoke.
No, I think-
smooth though. Like it's very seamless and it's
I
kind of
don't-
like
I don't
water to
think-
me.
I don't think it was that scene.
It was a different
What's
one.
that?
Okay.
That you're talking about. I think when Lori hears something and she looks over and you see someone kind of like go behind a building, like behind a bush.
Mm.
And
Oh.
No,
it's
it's the
not
hedge-
it's not
it's
the
the hedge
same
scene.
it's not the
He's-
same hedges.
No,
It's not the same
I
hedges.
think I'm thinking of the laundry line later on.
when
Okay,
she's in
laundry
the
line.
thinking of.
Pasadena Thin Wall house.
There's
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
another one where someone is kind of just walking down the street kind of far off
Uh-huh.
and she looks over cuz she hears something and it's just kids trick or treating.
Yep, that's
Okay.
yeah, that's
But further beyond that there is someone that kind of like walks out of the scene.
It
Like
could
out
have
of the
been
frame.
him. Like it's kind of like the Back to the Future where you were like, I want to go back and watch it and see if future Marty is really in the background of the terrorist scene. Like,
Yeah.
did they go that far with that kind of detail?
Yes.
With this, it's low budget. I doubt they would have really said, okay, well, Michael would be in the background. But that would be cool if they did that.
I kept
But
looking
clearly-
for him in the backdrops
Yeah,
of
that's how they
every
make it. You're
single
like-
scene.
Every scene, every
Yeah.
frame.
I
yeah,
just
and
was
basically
every-
waiting.
any
and-
dark
and all
spot
the
in any
frames-
scene, you have to look for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and all the frames are so large that he could be there.
Right. But the hedge scene, he clearly is standing there blatantly.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
when she's like, there he is, Annie. And then she's like looking through her bag. Right when they cut from Annie back to the bush, he steps to the right.
Yes.
And then you see him walking. So he clearly leaves
Yes.
completely.
Okay.
But they don't do what they do with the laundry line where it's like she looks, he's there, looks again, he's gone.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like they show him walk. They
Poor
show him-
Laurie, you scared another
Yeah.
one away. Oh man! So before that all happens, the little kids torment the poor kid with the big pumpkin, and one of the
Mhm.
bullies runs smack into Michael, and
Oh yeah.
nothing happens to him.
Yeah,
That's
I thought he was
interesting.
gonna die. I was like, well, you're dead now. See you later, bucko. Like, it's nice
They
knowing
won't-
you.
They won't revisit that later in sequels.
Oh,
We've been talking
Yeah,
a lot
doesn't-
about that scene this week.
Doesn't
I
come up at all.
definitely did not get an online streaming service so I could watch the rest of them either. So I'm
Well,
gonna
we do get into the psychology of why does Michael allow certain people to live and certain people not to live.
Interesting. Ooh. Yeah, I definitely would like to know more. I do plan to watch the rest of them. I'm very interested. And the pumpkin thing is killing me because he falls and smashes his pumpkin.
Yeah.
And like, first off, why does this kid have a big old pumpkin at school? Like, he's clearly like
Yeah.
6. Who gave
Yeah,
this
aren't
kid
there,
like a
pumpkin
10-pound
allergies?
pumpkin? I'm like his mom packs his lunch and is like, okay, here, sweetie, son, here's your gourd. See you later. Like, why does he have a pumpkin?
He was very excited to go to carve that pumpkin at night with Lori.
There was a 4-H competition
There you
at
go.
school that day.
Right.
It was a science project.
I love it.
Those are two theories.
2 theories.
I think it's because he's a latchkey kid and he had to bring the pumpkin from wherever he got it in the morning, had to bring it to school, carry it to Lori, wherever. Like to me, it did seem weird that he's carrying this 12-pound pumpkin.
Another theory.
Ooh, Let's
but,
hear
yeah,
it.
It tells us a lot about Tommy, I guess.
Lots of pumpkins.
there are a lot of pumpkins.
And we find out later Lori has no idea how to carve a jack-o'-lantern. She's terrible at it.
She doesn't know what she's doing.
No idea. Like, make a triangle for the eyes. Just do that. Like
She
she made like
can't.
a Jason Voorhees chevron where the eyes are supposed to be, and it's like, no, it's supposed to be like the opening.
Hey,
jack-o'-lantern.
listen,
supposed to be-
it's
big face.
It's art.
It's artistic.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Her mouth was bad,
Impressionism.
but that's just being nitpicky.
Did you have
Come on,
any
Laura.
notes
You can do
about the
better.
stealing of the headstone? Did you have any thoughts on that scene?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it down. I was like, all right, this is weird. This is his mother, correct? Is that his mother's headstone?
Sister.
Okay, so it was
Sister's
his
headstone.
sister's headstone.
The one who he
Okay.
stabbed at the beginning of the movie.
Okay. Yeah,
Michael.
Michael. Okay, I have an issue with how she was murdered. And because the sounds that she was creating were not I'm getting stabbed sounds.
Yeah.
At all. And I was like, all right, I don't believe you. I feel like it was just there so
Not
they
behind
could
it.
show someone's boobies and then pour fake blood on those same boobies and then show them again. And I was like, all right, y'all. You didn't have to try this hard for boobies, okay? Like
Well,
this is very
It definitely goes deeper than that. I think it was Carpenter's homage to the Psycho bathroom killing scene.
Oh, is that before Halloween?
Yeah, in the
Okay.
60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that sound,
she's
that
not,
sound
she's
of
not familiar. Let's
Okay.
put her in the.
Well, the sound
Just
of
a
the
baby.
blade.
Let
The sound of the blade was.
let
Okay.
me. Let
I'll
me.
let you. Go ahead.
Okay, so in Psycho,
Okay.
there is a scene where a lady is in the shower,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
there's
Yeah.
there is okay. So
She's familiar.
all right, she's familiar,
I
right?
know that
So
one. Yep.
you may or may not have noticed in that scene when the curtain is opened, all you see is a hand with a knife, and it goes in and out of the frame.
Never
And
enters the body.
You don't see the body. You don't see the knife enter the body. You only hear
You hear the melon, the blade into a melon sound.
Okay.
basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what you see is the bottom of the tub. There is bloody water going down the drain.
Very iconic scene. Probably the most iconic
Okay,
scene.
so you don't see a damn thing. And what you picture in your mind is way worse than anything that they could probably
Right.
show you on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Meg's complaint is the noises she was making.
Yes.
Which didn't sound like she was really being killed.
Okay,
No.
fine.
So that was a failure.
But
Fine.
guys,
I
we
agree,
have to understand that John Carpenter is being meta, and he's taking the melons out of the sound effects and putting them onto
And
the
putting
actors.
real
screen.
melons
Yes.
into the scene.
Oh, that's
Yes.
true.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was my only complaint about that was that she was like, "Oh no,"
Yeah.
and then just made these like sad little. I'm not gonna do the sounds because then that'll be on the internet forever.
Don't do
Yeah,
the sounds.
I don't blame you.
I'm refusing that. But the sounds they were not I'm getting murdered sounds.
Certainly not sounds she was making 5 minutes earlier during the 25 seconds she had
Just-
sex with that
just-
guy.
Okay.
Right.
I was
Yeah, we
gonna
didn't
bring that
mention
up
that.
earlier, and none of you did, and I was like, if I pull this one out after you all had
Do
moved
it.
on, you're gonna be like, oh,
No.
of course you had to talk about that one. But seriously though, like it was like 10 seconds, and I wrote down
If that.
something along the lines of, dude, you need endurance training, and
Tantrum.
it literally all he did was they ran upstairs. The kid goes in. He grabs a knife. He walks towards the stairs, and the dude is already gone,
Dressed.
putting his
He's
shirt
dressed.
back on. And I'm like, my friend, you have a problem. Like this is
The
embarrassing for you.
Now, I don't think that you are supposed to believe that all of that happened in that amount of time.
It's one single
It's
shot.
shot in real
It's
time.
one
Listen,
shot.
I think it's the first of many continuity errors in this
Yeah.
movie.
What's funny is I feel towards that kid like the Joey episode in Friends where he's on the poster for STD.
Yeah.
It's like he probably went through life as the 10-second kid forever.
Oh,
that
that would
really
be
sucks.
so funny.
It's a shame.
That really sucks. And you know what's the worst part about it is it didn't
He needs some.
it doesn't have
yoga.
to be like that. It's very easily fixed. You fix
Right.
that movie, you fix that part of the movie very easily just by, they go upstairs and time elapses.
I don't think Carpenter
And
cared.
No.
And then
Yeah.
Michael comes home.
Yeah.
It,
Or-
it doesn't have to happen in 10 seconds.
It's kind of like the sun going down when they're driving to the house. Like
that
it took
was
them
another
7
one.
hours to get to the house that they were babysitting in, even though it was around the
Okay,
corner.
can I
But-
can I just
Can I
Alright.
just God.
Okay. Okay. So
Do it.
to the best of my knowledge, Loomis is hanging out at Michael's house
Yes.
the entire time,
Waiting for Lonnie.
basically.
Yes.
From his point of view, he sees his car that Michael stole.
Yeah, at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is, quote unquote, Loomis's words, not mine, 3 blocks.
Right.
Away. Now, from home, Lori drops a key under the mat of that same house.
Right.
On foot. Why did we need to be picked up in a car and drive for 3 hours to go to the house that's 3 blocks away to babysit a child?
Maybe they went
'Cause-
to Annie's weed dealer.
Yeah, I was like, weren't they riding high? Like,
Because you had to find out about the stolen mask and knives
kids-
and rope.
Yes,
in small
you
towns
did.
don't have
You did.
anything to do, and
You did.
literally they will get in their cars and drive around, and like that will be an activity.
Their night out.
So like,
That is the
I'm not
only
shook.
logical. That's the only logical explanation,
yeah,
and it doesn't. It's not put on that way.
And George, you're hanging up on the wrong continuity error in this scene. The
Okay,
one
what
that
is it?
gets me is that Annie and Lori somehow magically make the sheriff forget what pot smells like.
yeah.
Mm.
And they
Yes.
pull up to the crime scene where there is a blaring burglar alarm. And it's
Yes.
at that hardware store that someone, presumably a kid, but he blames everything on kids, so maybe it's
Right.
but stole knives, rope, and some Halloween masks.
Well, Myers is a kid at heart.
But here's the thing, guys. This is after school and at sunset. So this 3-hour car ride and school. But Myers had that mask in the morning.
Right.
Outside
Mhm.
of school. So that burglary alarm has been running
Has been
nonstop for
going
12
off
hours.
all day.
Which, in that, so I think
Dan, that did not go unnoticed. That was another one. That's another time error.
He said stole some masks.
Yeah.
Who are we to say that the mask he's wearing in the beginning wasn't from somewhere else?
maybe,
There you
but
go.
he stole the
Who's to
same
say-
one. Maybe he
who's
got
to
like
say-
mustard on it and he needed to get a new mask, so
he
he,
needed
stole
a
it.
backup. What
He
if it
got
fell
mustard
off?
on it.
But yeah, so
It's-
the thing
It's
is, I
possible
think
that it was kids, though.
I
And-
imagine.
And
True.
I mean, yeah, maybe
Go
it's
ahead.
Ben Tramer stole the mask.
Or here we go. Maybe he stole the masks early in the morning or overnight.
mhm.
The alarms went off and then turned off, and then went off again, then turned off, and then went off again. Like
Like
I
a
know when I
snooze
managed a movie
alarm.
theater. Well, no. Sometimes when you have alarm systems,
Okay, I feel like we're
They-
making excuses for this movie, and we shouldn't have to.
I'm not going to excuse
Yeah,
it.
I think you all are just trying to excuse the
Where's
kid that could
Kubrick?
only last 10 seconds. I think you guys just feel real bad for him and you're trying to protect him. And so
I
you're
do.
just
it could be the Wendy
poking
theory.
holes in all the other things so that it
I
doesn't
just
have
wonder
to be.
if
and
at
that's
some
true.
point the chronology was that Annie drove Lori to school and they'd shot that scene to happen before school and then realized, oh, but she
possible.
needs to drop the key off at the house. That's the whole key to this thing. Oh, okay,
Right.
well, let's make this after school so she still gets to talk about.
And it's low budget, so they can't refilm it. Like they
Right.
just have to kind of
That's a good theory, Dan.
build
Yeah.
it in editing.
Use what you have in the can to edit the movie you need.
Yeah, make the movie in editing.
That's a good theory.
But you do get an amazing shot of Loomis with his back turned toward traffic when
Mhm.
Michael makes that left turn behind him. I still love that shot.
I was
Yeah.
geeking out the whole time. I was like, there he is. There he is. There he is. He's coming. He's coming.
so
He's behind him.
Famously, there is a palm tree in this movie, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Where they're crossing the street.
Palm tree.
Where?
When Tommy and her are walking when they're taking the key to the house,
Uh huh.
There's a
they're
palm
walking
tree.
across the street, and he's talking to her down the end of the street where she crosses.
Okay.
You see the huge palm tree
Okay.
right there on Rodeo Drive, which is right there.
Okay. So I had never seen the palm tree before, and
Right.
I still haven't because I thought I saw it like right next to Loomis's head in the background,
Mm.
at the hardware store. So never mind.
What's cool about that intersection where that happens?
All right, so it's just let's get Meg up to speed.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have
This
no
movie
idea.
was shot in this movie was shot in California, and
Okay.
the movie takes place in Illinois.
Oh.
So if there's a palm tree in the background of a scene that takes place in Illinois, that's a problem.
Yeah. There's a couple
And-
things like that. Like there's no trees that have lost their leaves in the movie.
But leaves fall.
Yes, it's October 31st.
It's October.
It's
Everything's green.
All right, so it's October 31st.
Uh-huh.
All of the trees have green leaves on them.
Right.
Okay.
The sun doesn't go down until after 6:30, which is the time that Laurie gets picked up.
Right.
Um,
The film crew had to walk around with the same bag of leaves and and dump.
that's not a joke.
That's not a
Are
joke.
you for real?
And then they had someone on staff that collected the leaves
Stop.
to drop them in the next scene.
Okay.
So that's awesome.
So
That's awesome
my
trivia.
Yeah.
my original thought whenever I saw the scenes with the leaves is now I feel really dumb. I was like, oh my gosh, there's leaves falling. I love that they just like used the nature around them and just leaves are falling. Like it feels so real. It made it feel
Yes.
like tangible to me, not like a green screen. Like I was like, oh, I'm here. This is a real place. And then to see that there's green trees, God, I'm gonna go back and watch it
Yeah.
now.
Just so you know, every time you see the leaves, it's the same 50 leaves.
I've got two words for you, Meg.
Oh God.
Got you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah, they got me.
Yeah.
I was fully invested. All right. They fed me the fantasy. I was there. So I hope that the person that had to walk around and pick up those 50 leaves hears this and can feel vindicated and know that it was worth it.
Well, the thing about that trivia is growing up in the Northeast, where Halloween is clearly marked by falling leaves and trees changing color.
Mm-hmm.
That scene where they show you the title card of October 30th, or then it switches to 31st Halloween, and they show the leaves kind of blowing past the screen.
Yeah.
Like, it's so that my sense memory goes berserk when I see that, because it reminds me of Halloween when I was 10 years old, and that the smell, the sound of the leaves, like all the kids trick-or-treating, like it's such a nostalgic thing. And then to think that's 85 degrees, California, every tree is green.
Yep.
And
Yes.
that bag of leaves is throughout the entire movie.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, it's
When-
awesome.
And in a couple of weeks, when we go trick or treating in Haddonfield,
I'll do that shot.
we're going
Yeah.
to take a video of the leaves, and
And there'll be Jersey leaves.
we'll post it. Well, it doesn't matter because Haddonfield, Illinois, is based on Haddonfield, New Jersey,
Right.
which we live 5 minutes from. That's where we trick or treat on purpose
Hey.
because Halloween.
Wow.
Um,
That's commitment
Yeah,
right there.
Did you know that, Meg?
I did
Did
not.
you know that the writer of the movie is from Haddonfield, New Jersey.
Okay.
So when she wrote the film, she based it on the years that she used to babysit 5 minutes from where we live right now. So
Wow. Okay. That's
when
pretty
I
cool.
when we started having children, I was like, I want to trick or treat in Haddonfield. I've never done it. I have to. It's the birthplace of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
I have to trick or treat there. So once we did that, it's like a tradition. So every year,
And
that.
Halloween in Haddonfield, New Jersey is
perfection.
I think maybe it's Mardi Gras might be.
It's Mardi Gras.
Might be a good comparison.
For Haddonfield, New Jersey.
People travel from all over the world to trick or treat.
But seriously, it's a huge party in
They do.
Haddonfield. It's a big deal.
and half of them don't even know that it's the birthplace of Michael Myers. They
and the
it's just a
people,
rich town.
and the people in Haddonfield, they embrace it like the people who live in these homes now should
Yes.
embrace it. It's good. It's a good time.
stuff. So it's it is accurate when I look at this movie. It's amazing that little 5 or 6 streets around in Pasadena looks exactly like the neighborhood we live in. So it's the attention to detail is really good, and that's why I get so nostalgic when I see it, because it's like it does bring me back to my childhood, and it's like even though it's a low budget film and they have the bag of leaves and they're going around doing whatever,
Yeah.
it's so perfectly done. Like every detail is not a mistake, and to me that makes it better as well. Because
also 5 minutes from where we live in New Jersey, 5 minutes the other way is Voorhees, New Jersey.
Love it.
where the Crystal Lake Diner is.
Also 5 minutes away from here is Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Um,
Dan, where's the helicopter sound?
Oh,
it's
gosh,
a Mecca.
I'm letting you down.
We don't have that. Maps.
Maps. All right, that we're
Meg's
done. With,
like,
we're
I'm
done
never
with,
coming back again.
We're done with maps.
Yeah.
Sorry to bore you.
No, you're not. You're not boring.
There's some stuff that happens in the movie that if there's a low energy point in the movie, for me it is while we're waiting for Annie to spill butter on herself. There's just a lot of like
Oh my gosh. Why?
exposition and stuff happening
Are you
it's just
waiting for that to happen? Do you have
well,
it like
once
Well, you know,
earmarked?
that's when the shit hits the fan.
once
That's
she
when it
spills the
starts.
butter, everything goes sideways. Michael is like
Yeah.
offended by
Butter.
popcorn
Butter.
or something. Like
I think
that
a
sets
dog
him
just
off.
pisses him off.
it's a dog.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize
Lindsay.
it was
Lindsay.
butter. I just
Yeah, she was making popcorn.
okay.
I don't know.
I-
You know, it was an excuse to take your clothes off.
Yeah,
butter.
okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that for a second. I used to I babysat kids when I was younger, like, late middle school, early high school, whatever. Even if I spilled something on myself at another person's home, I would not go, "Oh no, I made a mess," and then get naked in the kitchen in front of said child and just, go find a shirt. I was like, why? Why did she have to completely undress, like
the
down
70s.
to her underpants because she spilled butter?
Because John Carpenter had to recreate a scene from a Giallo,
Right.
that he hadn't seen yet.
He didn't see it till way later.
I was just appalled.
That's
I was like, Miss
Not a
Ma'am,
joke either.
if I came home and you were babysitting my children and you were just half naked in my kitchen, your butt would be fired
Wearing
so
my
fast.
husband's dress shirt.
Exactly. And I was just laughing so much at that scene because I didn't even see the spill. Like it was so fast and clearly it was not that much. And then she just got naked and I was like, well, that was overkill. Like, why is she naked now?
But I have to say, as stupid as that sounds,
Mm-hmm.
it does set up situation for some of the most iconic imagery in, can I say, cinematic history? Like
Whoa.
that whole cat and mouse in the laundry room, Myers at the door, then at the back window, his face silhouette, like all that stuff, her walking back and forth with the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, he's there, then he's not, like that scene is so iconic. It's like Kong on the Empire State Building iconic. And people, it resonates because it's so creepy. Because it does. It you're in that room with her and you're seeing that she's being watched.
And she doesn't realize
and
it.
She has no idea.
Yeah.
And obviously Lindsay has no idea because that kid's a freaking garden rock.
That's my daughter turns into that whenever she's watching TV
Holy
as well.
crap. Lindsay! Like how many times?
So
I hear it a lot.
I like how what's her name?
Annie.
That's Annie.
Annie.
I like how Annie can hear the phone ringing from the detached garage laundry room.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe there's a separate bell out there. That used to be a thing back then.
Okay.
So if you're out in the garage,
There
and
is
the phone
also
rings,
times when you could hear a phone ringing from across the street a little later on. I think Laurie was
Well,
across the street. Anyways,
You're
doesn't
younger
matter.
than me, but I remember the rotary phones.
No, I
friggin' were loud.
remember phones that
Right.
ring, like that landlines
I
that ring.
remember phones that ring, okay?
You know, like
I'm
know,
just saying, like when I watch
you know
that
how we
movie,
say
that
hang
does
up.
not
You know how we
stick out.
say hang up the phone.
Yeah.
Like we all have cell phones now. We only have cell phones. We still hang them up.
Yes.
Right, but we don't actually hang. I
No, you
remember
don't.
hanging up a phone for real. So,
But those old Bell telephones were so freaking loud.
if I was in the garage on the other side of the yard, I don't think I would hear the phone.
Okay. But I honestly believe, and I know because we had them.
They're super loud, and maybe if the windows
if
are
you're
open,
in the garage, you can rig it. You can have it rigged so like Dad's out tinkering with the engine, and the phone rings inside the house. There's a
remote bell.
Yes, there's like a bell in the garage that tells you their phone is ringing
Okay.
because you didn't have cell phones
Okay.
back then.
Hey,
so
listen.
yeah, that's how
some
I always saw
technology. That's some hot shit right there.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that technology.
Not as hot as that popcorn butter.
No.
Apparently it was scalding, and it was like a gallon of it. All right.
that. And she has to get partially naked because that's Myers' trigger.
That is true.
His trigger is
Nakedness.
just being turned. I don't know if he's being turned on or just the sexuality or the over sexual.
No, I
it is.
think he's disgusted by it.
Either or, he needs that trigger so
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
have to have situations where people are getting.
So, Meg, have you seen the show Mindhunters on Netflix?
No.
Okay. Well, that falls flat then.
I'm sorry. I'm
No, there's a show called Mindhunters on Netflix that's based on the FBI profilers
Okay.
and like the first pioneer of profiling as a science. This guy named John Douglas, who is the guy who the FBI kind of spearheaded what we now know as profiling through. He was the guy who took psychology and melded it with detective work
Forensics, yeah.
Yeah.
and made profiles, which is now like a whole subgenre of TV shows. But Mindhunters
Yes.
is like semi-biographical about that guy.
That's cool.
The book is an autobiography that it's based on. It's a pretty good read. When I was reading it years ago, and this is a rerun from anybody who's listened to the Halloween episode that we did 2 years ago, one of the things that he talked about was these criminals who would go into jail at, say, 13 years old, be in jail for 20 years, and then come out, and they would commit crimes that would profile as committed by a 13-year-old because there's something in their development that just, their sexual development that freezes because they're no longer socialized in a normal manner. So when they get out of prison, they're still like developed as if they were just, 13 years old again.
The socio-emotional development of the person
And so,
is stagnated.
if a person was 6 years old
Okay.
and their response to a sexual stimulus was a feeling of confusion and rage,
Okay.
combined with the feeling of abandonment because they didn't get to go trick-or-treating because their sister was too busy having sex with their boyfriend for 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can call it that, but okay.
So when Michael goes into detention and comes out as a 21-year-old kid, sexual development has been frozen at 6 years old with a rage response to sexuality. So saying that Annie's nudity is a trigger actually kind of fits with the Michael Myers character, and weirdly enough kind of fits with a very, obviously untechnical amateur description of how profilers might see it.
So, follow-up question to that theory. I definitely can see that being a valid reason because he does it later on in the film as well. But my
Yeah,
question to you is, he was stalking the babysitter here before she got naked. Like he was already
Yes.
watching. So my
Yes.
question would be, if he's triggered by sexuality or by naked bodies or whatever, why was he already stalking her if that hadn't happened yet?
There's a familiarity with when he is on the front lawn watching Annie arrive and the parents leave, and his posture behind this tree as he watches the scene, and the way that the shot kind of mirrors what happened outside the Myers house when
beginning.
he's captured at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They create this kind of visual echo of like familiarity with him and this scene, and it's like his one human moment as adult Michael as he kind of leans into the tree. He doesn't stand there like a statue. He like puts his hand on it and like leans in. So
Okay.
I think it's, we're filling in gaps that probably never were intended to be filled when they made this $50,000 movie or whatever. But you could make an argument that he is kind of back at the night when he got put away. And he's feeling familiar, and he's on, like, he's tuned into this wavelength of like, that's a babysitter, that's a house with no parents.
Halloween.
It's Halloween. I've got a murder boner. Let's do this thing.
Stop.
See, when I said triggered, I think he was stalking Lori because of her being at his house.
Oh,
and then
yes.
Because Lori interacted with Linda and Annie, I think he was just stalking the three of them, and then the trigger to start the mayhem might be the sexuality and the nudity.
Or the dog.
Or the dog.
Freaking dog.
That too.
But
and it could all go back to Hey Jerk, Speed Kills, you know?
Yeah.
Don't criticize my driving. I'm 6 years old at heart.
Yes, please.
I think that sounds like closer to what I had like hypothesized whenever I was watching it, because the first moment we see him like having escaped and like, you know, he stole the car, he's gone. Now we're in this like quaint little town. She goes up and touches his house. And I was like, all right, well, you're marked now. And he started stalking her specifically after that. So that was my assumption as well, that he is hunting her down because she went up and touched his house.
But it could be also like, I don't know how to talk about it without like totally going off the chain or off the rails.
It's off the chain, man.
It's off the chain. But was he infatuated with her? Did it have nothing to do with her touching the house? She wasn't marked. Maybe he literally had an attraction to her, but he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Maybe.
But at the same time, she did the thing you're not supposed to do, and Tommy tried to warn her, don't go up to that house. You're not allowed to go to that house.
Yeah, but those are kids that, I mean, we all had the haunted house in the neighborhood where it was like, don't go up there.
Well, yeah, and this is the one example where it's true.
True, but Myers was not in that house leading up to that point. Like, nothing weird was happening there recently.
Yeah.
He just got there. That dog was warm.
Hey, so I have to bring this up because I'd never thought of it. And like we said, we've seen this movie. I probably haven't seen it hundreds of times, but I've definitely seen it nearly 100 times. Never until this weekend had I ever considered that a realtor showed the Myers house during this day. And no director, no sequel has ever touched on the folly of that poor person who, you know, maybe by some miracle, like, avoided Myers because he was too busy out chasing Lori. Like, how funny is it to think you could write like a comedic role into this movie of a couple and a schmoozy real estate agent who have no idea any of this is going to happen and just literally go into the Myers house, spend some time, and then leave, and he's none the wiser because he's too busy stalking Lori. I find that hysterical for some reason.
That's
so funny.
Hilarious.
And no one has ever done this.
You'd have to cut.
They're showing that house.
You'd have to cut to like, while they're like showing the house, they'll be like, and this is the lovely foyer, and he's like stabbing someone, and then they're like, and this is the bathroom, and he's like choking the guy in the kitchen. And I think it'd be really funny to time lapse it with what Michael's doing at the time.
The guy today would make Green.
Yeah. I mean, and that would be the role that Danny McBride would play, is that guy looking at the house.
Realtor.
Here's what I want.
Yep.
I want to shoot this scene. Travis, you guys need to act it because you guys are actors. I want to shoot this scene where you have the realtor come to the house and they're looking at it. And the only thing that happens is they mess with the gutter a little bit and say, ugh, this house is falling apart, and then leave to justify the gutter that mysteriously after 20 years falls into the window. It's all that one person's fault for looking at the house. Also, they leave the window open upstairs.
Oh, that would be so funny.
I want to meet the realtor that decided that house was show ready.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Like, seriously? There's a dead dog laying in the dining room.
Wait.
Drop the key off at the
dog was
house.
in the dining room?
There was a dog.
There was a dog.
A dead dog?
The cop
when Brackett, the sheriff and Loomis are in the house and he does the big speech.
Okay.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes speech.
Uh-huh.
They walk in the house and the Brackett's like, "Oh, what is that?" And he's like, "It's a dog." And Loomis is like, "Oh, he must have got hungry."
Oh.
So yeah,
How did
there's
I
a
miss
mutilated dog.
Oh my
and
God.
they say it's still warm.
It's still warm. So there's a mutilated dog laying in the front room.
What?
But they're going to show that house.
How did I miss that? Oh my God.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, go back to the laundry line scene.
Go back
We
to
totally
when she
skipped
took
over
her
the laundry
clothes
line
off.
Yes.
Okay, so the laundry, that part was very stressful. Because you just kept waiting and he kept showing up. Like you would just see him like through the window, or like he'd be like, you just see like his face in like a shadow. And like you were saying before, that cat and mouse was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see.
But that scene was too short. Like, to me, that's one of my favorite images. Is him standing among the sheets, because he eventually puts one of those on as a ghost.
Stop.
So it's like,
it's from those?
well, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying it's a good foreshadow, and image wise, it's a nice snapshot, and visually with all the sheets blowing in the same direction. Like to me, it's one of my favorite shots, but it's so fast. Just like the hedges scene. I love the hedges scene, but that's so fast.
Yeah.
I want that. I want more of that. And there's not a lot of that in the movie. Like we've already established, there's only 9 minutes of Myers in this movie. And to me, those little snips, those little snapshots, those little memes, are just so iconic. And we need like 30 more of those in that movie.
Yeah, it sounds like a great argument for Halloween Kills, right, Travis? Hey, so this discussion got a little bit out of hand. We've still got way more to cover. So we're going to cut it off here for today. We're going to do a part 3. We'll launch it tomorrow. So hopefully you've listened to part 1 already. Hopefully you listened to part 2 today and enjoyed it. We'll come back tomorrow with a part 3. I promise that's the last one. Except that the thing we promised as part of what we thought would be a short episode is coming on Halloween Day. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And then again on Halloween. It's worth it. I promise it's worth it. And if you don't believe me, believe these sponsors. We don't have any sponsors? It's fine. They believe me. Why wouldn't they?